In today's video, anti-Trump protests erupt across the country. A new bombshell poll shows support for President Trump's tariffs, and Democrats continue to threaten President Trump. So let's start here.
Here's a live look at Boston, Massachusetts now as we check back in on one of our top stories, anti-Trump protests taking place across the country today after a tumultuous week, to say the least. On Wall Street and the economy. We want to point out, just a few minutes ago, we did show you a protest. We said it was Boston. It was not Boston. It was an unrelated protest. But what you are looking at right now is Boston, and I'm from there. I can recognize this. This is the plaza right outside of City Hall in downtown.
So anti-Trump protests all over the nation today. Listen, you guys know me. I always ask the question, what is the return on investment here? I think they're wasting their time, but this is a right that they have, right? They can peacefully protest. Cool. But what's interesting is in this next clip, I want you to pay attention to the signs that they are holding. Watch this.
Get down! DC is a union town! Get up! Get down! DC is a union town!
All right, now let's get down.
Okay, so you see what the signs say. Socialism beats fascism. Now, do me a favor. In the comment section, you let me know what you think about that. Like, if you were standing there, what would you tell them about the sign that they are holding? I mean, again, these people, they're so misguided, and they're driven by emotion, not actual logic or common sense. And I do have an example of why I say that. During the protests, they're getting up on stages and speaking. Listen to this individual.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Gabe, and I'm from La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's the Wisconsin where the richest person in the world spent millions of dollars trying to buy a state Supreme Court seat, and he failed. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am Black. I am Filipino-Japanese, second generation. I'm a disabled trans man, but I'm also a Medicaid patient. I'm also a person who uses food stamps. I'm also a person who has been through houselessness in this country. I am also a person who has gone through substance use and addiction. And most of all, I am a patient of Planned Parenthood. I am everything that Donald Trump and Elon Musk want to erase.
Now, let's just use her logic against her, right? She claimed that Elon Musk lost because he was trying to buy a Supreme Court seat in the Wisconsin election. Well, then that would mean that George Soros won because he ended up being successful in purchasing that same seat. You see how that works? And secondly, President Trump and Elon Musk, they're not trying to erase you. Okay, what they're trying to do is get rid of the ideology and the culture that has created people like her. They have people like her confused about what life is truly all about and who God made them out to be, which is perfect at birth, by the way. But the mind gets infected somewhere along the way, and that's what you get.
My name is Gracia Martinez Rosas. I am an immigrant. I am undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed. I lead the organization, the most beautiful organization called United We Dream Action. We are the nation's largest network of immigrant young people fighting for queer rights, immigrant rights, and the rights of everyday working class people.
Now, I know you heard what she said. She said she was undocumented. So I'm really interested to see if Tom Homan will see this clip and if they will end up picking her up. And I have one more cringe clip to show you, and I think this one you'll probably enjoy the most. Take a look.
We really wanted to start off with a chant. So we are a grassroots organization originally. That is our core. So we are very big on the chanting, and y'all have all the energy today. So, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump.
So we'll see how successful their protests really are. I don't believe it's going to yield any results or the results they're really looking for, which is to slow down Trump's agenda. And I think they should probably be spending more of their time understanding why they lost. Now, here is one of the organizers of this mass protest that's happening across the country and what he wants to see from his party moving forward.
What you're getting at is, who is the target of this protest? One is, yes, it's MAGA, it's Trump, it's Musk. We want to demonstrate to them that they don't have popular support. But another target are our leaders, people like Chuck Schumer, who surrender to the Republicans in Congress, aren't giving their constituents what they want. We saw Cory Booker stand up in the Senate and break the record for the longest filibuster. He did it. We need more Cory Bookers and fewer Schumers. And if we want that as constituents, we got to show up and demand it.
All right. That is something else. I'm not even going to comment on it, really. I just want you to see the clip and to show you mentally what these people are up to today. Now, this takes us to our next story, and that is a new poll that came out today from the Daily Mail that shows that Trump's approval rating has increased to 53%. That is a 4-point increase over last week when it was 49%. Meaning what? That President Trump is more popular now than before he instituted his new tariff policy. And if we dive a little bit deeper, based on this poll, President Trump is up 13 points since March 7th among individuals aged 18 to 29. The president also saw a 6-point increase in favorability among Democrats and independents. And lastly, the Republican support among black voters skyrocketed 17 points since last week. Now, even though these voters clearly support what President Trump is doing, that is never going to change the mindset of the media and how skeptical they are of these tariffs. Take a look at this exchange.
We're going to be in a very, very difficult situation.
I find it insane that we're all finally concerned about inflation. That was a word that really didn't exist for many years while Joe Biden was president. But I want to point out something. Last night, Richard, you took off your shoe. You said it's made in Vietnam. Yeah, it's going to be 34% more expensive next year. Today, the Secretary General of Vietnam reached out to President Trump and said, we want to have zero tariffs for both countries, proving to some degree that this is a leverage play.
What does that prove, Joe?
It proves.
What does that prove? Because at the end of the conversation, the president said, "Nice talking to you." And nothing about, we're going to have a deal, lower our tariffs.
I'm going to tell you what it proves.
He said, great conversation.
That's her being disingenuous. And what it actually proves, in case she really cares for the answer, is that these countries are now willing to renegotiate the terms of these trade deals. That's the bottom line here. That's the whole purpose. And maybe that's why Bill Ackman put this post up today, and this is a prediction from him. He says that one would have to imagine that President Trump's phone has been ringing off the hook. The practical reality is that there is insufficient time for him to make deals before the tariffs are scheduled to take effect. So I would therefore not be surprised to wake up Monday with an announcement from the president that he is postponing the implementation of these tariffs to give him time to make deals. President Trump has gotten the world's attention and elevated the importance of resolving an unfair trade regime that has harmed American workers and decimated our industrial base over many decades. This is a critically important issue that needs to be resolved, and we finally have a president committed to getting this done. Now, let me take you back to the opposing view from Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader. Here's what he said.
These Trump tariffs represent the largest tax increase on the American people since at least 1968. What we're seeing is that he is crashing the economy in real time. Costs are going up. The Trump tariffs are likely to result in thousands of dollars in additional costs on the American people in terms of groceries and gas and goods. And at the same time, we're seeing the retirement savings of the American people plummeting as well. This guy is driving us toward a recession, and this is not what the American people voted for or expected.
Well, I would argue that's exactly what people voted for. I voted for this as well. Does not mean we will end up in a recession. And let's say we do. Is it really Donald Trump's fault, or is it something that was unavoidable given what we did as a country over the past 4 years? I'm just working with their logic here. But furthermore, all I hear from Democrats is complaints, but no solutions. And that's where they go wrong every single time. Now, here's what Kevin O'Leary had to say about these tariffs. Take a look.
Volatility is brutal. Nobody likes to see the stock market go down, but as we know from history, it's always proven to be a buying opportunity. Never count out the American economy. Those job numbers were a surprise to the upside. So the economy's doing just fine right now. Now, it depends how long these tariffs stay on. I say 50% of them get negotiated away very, very quickly. Because you got to remember something. If you're calculating in the political side of this, Trump has a majority right now for another 18 months before the midterms. All this volatility, the speed at which these policies are coming in place is because he knows he may not enjoy that majority after the midterm election. So you got to get this work done now. I don't think these tariffs are going to be long-lived at all. And I think everybody's coming to the table very, very quickly. So you're getting this done at a breakneck speed, and people are very uncomfortable with it. But to actually turn the U.S. economy into a recession, that doesn't happen overnight. This would have to last for years.
All right, but Kevin Leary needs to understand that the media doesn't care about that piece of information. They don't care about the truth. They care about the narrative. And the narrative is President Trump is crashing the economy. He's taking away your jobs. He's deporting your grandmothers. That is the rhetoric, okay? He's an authoritarian, and he's going to drive this country into the ground. Anything that does not align with that, we are not going to give it attention. And so that's why you're not seeing the mainstream media truly cover the truth in the way that they should, if at all. Now, here is Scott Jennings also providing common sense on this issue.
I do find it interesting in this conversation, though, about Democrats finding their, free market bona fides all of a sudden. I mean, these are the same party that's been arguing that corporations need to pay higher taxes. I mean, effectively, a tariff is just a tax on corporate activity. That's what it is. And Democrats for years have argued for higher corporate tax rates, and now they're arguing against effectively a tax on corporate activity. I think if I were Donald Trump, I might next week say, you know what? I'll meet you on this. Let's slash the corporate tax rate in half, and it'll mitigate your concerns about the tariffs. I bet you wouldn't find one Democrat who would agree to it, even though it would be an amazing idea.
Yeah, so that is common sense, folks. And the sad thing about Democrats is they would rather fight Trump than to actually find the solution to the problem. Okay, because we can all agree on what the problem is, but they don't care for the solution, and they won't agree on the solution because President Trump is in office. All right. Now, this takes us to the third story, and that is the Democrat Party and their new warnings for Trump. We got a couple of leaders who made some interesting statements. Let's start with Letitia James and what she had to say to Trump.
And we've got to stand together, a stand-in community, stand with this great organization under the leadership of our civil rights leader, Reverend Al Sharpton, who has been a bright and shining light in the darkness. But I don't know about you. It's that stone of hope that inspires me each and every day. And listen, faith and fear can never share the same space. And so I'm covered by the blood. And I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can come after me, but no enemy, nothing formed against me will perish. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what it's like to live your life where everything you do is based on one individual. And it happens to be an individual you hate, not an individual you love, okay? It's as if her whole identity and purpose in life is to destroy President Trump. I mean, what a pathetic individual. That's just my own personal opinion. Now, let's listen to the former president, Obama, who also, if you listen to his words carefully, is calling for some physical action here if they want to stop what President Trump is doing. Watch.
It has been easy during most of our lifetimes to say you are progressive, or say you are for social justice, or say you're for free speech, and not have to pay a price for it. And now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit.
Now, imagine that. Is he calling for more violence and riots? I mean, what do you think is going to happen this summer if they're unable to slow down President Trump? You think the vandalism on Tesla is bad? I think things will get worse. And we've seen this from the left time and time again. Think about Milwaukee and the George Floyd riots, where no one was ever held accountable, arrested, or sent to prison over the damage that they did to that city. And we can go on and on and on, but I think you guys are getting my point. Let's go to the other side of this. From Victor Hansen, we love his way of thinking about this issue. And so here's what he told Jesse Waters yesterday.
A lot going on the Democrat side. How long is this going to last?
Well, they're kind of like the proverbial headless chicken running in a frenzied spasm in their death throes. I mean, there's one common denominator of all that street theater you outlined, Jesse. Not one of them has a serious counter proposal, and they have options. One of them could say the trade deficit, the budget deficit, the national debt is unsustainable, but we disagree with Donald Trump. So here is our alternate agenda, but they don't have any agenda. Or they could say, during the Biden administration, we just printed money. We're modern monetary theorists. We believe it's just a construct. Deficits and debt doesn't matter.
So he touches on really my main criticism as it pertains to the leaders in the Democratic Party if they're trying to push back on what Trump is doing, and anybody out there really, because I get people in the comment section who disagree with what I say. Then what is your alternative solution? What would you do differently? Why not spend 80% of your time talking about that and 20% of your time complaining? I don't think that's a bad idea, but that's something that Democrats lack. And guys, I encourage them to continue to behave this way, please. And this brings us to the question of the video. I'd love if you guys answer in the comment section below. What's your take on these protests that are happening around the nation? It's called Hands Off. Clearly, it's all about protesting President Trump and Elon Musk. Do you think it's going to result in anything for the party? I don't believe so, but I definitely want to know what you think. Just put your responses in the comment section below. Now, yesterday, a federal judge made a massive mistake as they ordered President Trump to return a deported criminal migrant back to this country. Just insane. If you missed out on that story and more from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.